Hello, this is Greg Allison from Green Griggs coming to you on the 18th of January 22. Time on deck 21:5400 hours Central Standard Time. My friends, our future may be riding on the politics of Putin and Biden. I kid you not. These two individuals may really determine the outcome of where we're going in this world. The very future, our state of existence may be dependent upon them and how they see the world and their own personal politics, the threats that they see to themselves. No kidding. We're going to get into that. Also, bear in mind that a member of the Duma of Russia, the Duma of Russia is like the House of Representatives in the United States Congress. A member of the Duma of Russia said that Russia should launch a hypersonic missile with a nuke on it into our Nevada test area and detonate it as a sign that Ukraine moving toward NATO would start a nuclear war. Detonating a nuke in Nevada wouldn't start a nuclear war, I guess, in his thoughts, because that's our test area, and that would just be a show of force, a warning shot. Interesting, the things that people ponder. Interesting, and that the stuff like that would get out of people's mouths and float around. But bear in mind also that talks broke down between the United States and Russia, as many of you know, and right after they did, there was a massive cyber attack on Ukraine, bringing down their government websites, crippling and paralyzing them. And what was the message at the very end of that attack? The message at the very end of that attack was, be afraid and expect the worst. Wow, what does all this mean? Where are we going, my friends? Are we heading to war? What could it look like? How would we get into it? Can we get out of it? These are what we're going to talk about here. So I'll bring you this as part of my eyes wide open and head on a swivel series, so that you can have an idea of what's coming, so that you'll know to prepare and have your family prepared for the times that may be the worst. Let's hope they're not the worst. But gosh, guys, we got to get ready these days. I mean, there's so many things looking at us right now. We've got to get ready. This is part of my proposition of my channel: help you survive, thrive, and stay out of the hive. So we're covering these things. And also bear in mind, you can watch my channel for many other things. I've got videos on this channel about gardening, which is one of the essential key prepping skills that you really need to have to be able to garden when the grid's down, where you can't go to town and buy supplies, where you won't be buying fertilizers and pesticides, and worm farming is a big part of that. I got videos on worm farming, to gardening, worm farming. Some of the things that you will need to be able to grow on your own is microgreens. Also, by the way, seeds from microgreens and farming you can also get through me. Great deals from True Leaf Market. Check the link below. And I have videos on eating free from the weeds and trees. I think that's a very important thing that you'll need to know. And I've done videos also on going to big box stores and the kind of things you can do there. I got 2 videos in my suite of 890 some odd videos covering such things. Also, I help you out in other ways. I'll bring you a special right now, by the way. You can get $100 off a 3-month supply of food that lasts 25 years. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, 2,000 calories a day. That'll make you a winner, because the competitions are offering something like 800 calories a day, which is worse than a starvation diet. This will get you through the day. It'll keep the grim reaper away. You hope. Somebody don't take it away. But the cool thing about this is you can bury it, you can hide it, you can put it in your caches, because this stuff is easy to store. It's sealed until you pop it open like I did. But even when you do, the pouches themselves are sealed, and you can put these in your backpack to bug out. This is easy to carry. It's a deal for which you should shout. All right. Also, if you go into prepwithgreg.com, where you get this deal, and click on the My Page to Spy logo, you'll find all kinds of other prepping supplies, not just this food stuff. So by all means, check it out. Definitely check it out. You can also find stuff you can use to purify water. But check out my video about purifying and sanitizing water. You need to know both of those. And I'll have a video showing several ways of that. Okay, my friends, let's get into this. We'll go through some websites. I'm gonna try to make this a short video tonight, I hope. Personalities is what determines the outcome of history. It's people. And like it or not, that's the case. And we like to say, well, it's this organization, it's that organization. Now, it's whoever. That organization's a platform for a personality to rise in, or maybe a personality creates that platform, which may be used by other personalities down the road. There's always somebody that gets in front of that platform and leads it, either for good or bad. A lot of good is created by individuals. Like think about Elon Musk, the Tesla. I'm not talking about the car. I'm talking about the man. I'm talking about, you know, a number of individuals who had vision and did something wonderful, be it Thomas Jefferson, or George Washington, or Patrick Henry, or be it various inventors, people who have made a big difference in the world, such as Ford, or many other people who've made huge differences. But it's always been people that stood out there. Sometimes they've been good, sometimes they've been bad. This is how history is driven. And right now we got a crossroads. We got two individuals between Putin and Biden that have both reached a point of stalemate. Now, Putin, understandably, probably looked at Biden and says, "Wow, this guy's weak, man. This is my time to take advantage." And he really stuck it out there, thinking it would work, and maybe he still thinks it would work. You know, let's just. This is the time to break NATO. This is time to reestablish the Russian Empire that we once had before. And America's weak. You strike when the iron's hot, is the old adage that some people live by. The only problem was that Putin didn't. Probably miscalculated, and he's painted himself in a corner. And that miscalculation may be that, you know, Biden, yeah, he's done a lot of weak stuff, and I can understand that, especially with that catastrophic withdrawal we did from Afghanistan. I'm not saying we shouldn't withdraw from Afghanistan; it's the way we did it. Now, all that said, we're probably there too long, but that's not the topic. The topic is the way we did it, the fact that it made us look weak. That's the perception in the world, whether you like it or not. Whether it's right or wrong, that's the perception, and that's what counts when it comes to guys who are acting on their perception. And, well, Biden's got a little different problem. His whole administration is imploding. And as a matter of fact, the entire Democratic Party is looking at taking huge losses. Suddenly, he's back up against the wall. He may not be the most fearsome individual in the world, at least in countenance, but he does have fearsome assets at his disposal. And he is, you know, the entire military, the woke military of the USA is at his fingertips, or whatever that's worth. Oh, it's still powerful assets, guys. And he is suddenly going, you know, he's unbind, because he's got to act like he's got a spine. And that may be something hard for him to find, but he's going to try, if it puts us in the grind, even, guys. I mean, look at this. He's I can't help it, I'll rhyme. Just it comes out of me. So good or bad times. So he's made do things he would not ordinarily do. And look, the logic of even this happens in all administrations when you get in a spot like this. You know, what's that movie DiCaprio's in now, that TV series about a comet coming to Earth? The whole thing is not about the comet hitting Earth, it's how everybody reacts to it, and how it's all politics. Well, how's this going to affect me in my reelection? The whole world's about to end, and the politicians are worried about their advantage in polls. Well, that's the way it works, unfortunately. So what's the administration and his party looking at? Oh, well, we're slipping. We're about to get creamed. We got to stand up and act like we're strong. We got to do something. But maybe they're not really thinking it through right either. And Putin's painting himself in corners. Here's Putin's problem. He can't back down too much. He's got to have a way out that saves face, or he's going to get creamed back home. He's got opposition too. And he's also 72 or something like that. So he's his last big grab here. This is his last big straw to grab for. He's trying to make a mark. He's trying to make a name, but maybe he overcalculated it and put it out there. He's a gambler. He takes risks. He's also a KGB guy, so he's to be taken seriously. So and he's put it out there. He's put it all on the line. It might not work. It may just get us all into it. So and then we got Biden back on our side. What's he going to do? Here's a couple things you got to bear in mind. Putin, KGB, and Rybakov, the foreign minister of Russia, has basically just said, hey, we're not going to rule out putting our military in Cuba and Venezuela, including military assets, including nuclear assets. Cuban Missile Crisis. Well, our administration's come back. Yeah, you do that, we're going to take drastic actions. Well, we did that once upon a time. It was called a blockade. A blockade is technically an act of war. We blockaded Cuba back in the Cuban Missile Crisis. We're going to blockade Cuba and Venezuela. I don't know, guys, but also there's the prospects that we're going to run all our troops up on the border of Ukraine, or run our troops up on the border of various Eastern Bloc, former Soviet countries that are now in NATO, put our troops on the borders of Belarus and Russia, or as close to we can. And it seems to me that we're already moving stuff. And that's exactly what Putin said don't do. So is he going to react to that? They actually have the conventional forces. They could run over a good bit of those Eastern Bloc countries, the former Soviet republics, in probably about 72 hours flat, according to some estimates. They might do that. Maybe. I hope not, because that is WWIII, point blank. So here's the thing. Putin keeps saying, well, we're not going to do anything. We're not planning anything. This is just training. This is nothing. We're just training. It's nothing at all. We're just here training. But as they're saying that, they're moving troops into Ukraine right now. They're moving a bunch of troops into Ukraine. Plus, they're mobilizing. They've already got like 10, 11 amphibious landing ships that can land on the shore of Ukraine, in addition to their forces that are going to be on the border of Belarus, and forces, there in Donbass. Oh yeah, they just moved a bunch of tanks into Donbass. I think 245 maybe. Donbass is in the Ukraine officially. It's the breakaway republic, though, supposedly. So supposedly they're helping out the the insurgents, people who want to break away in Donbass. So they're moving all this equipment in. Some people, like Lee Wilbarger, would say those guys are really Russian troops. There's not insurgents that's going to be operating these things. Of course, the insurgents aren't trained to do that, probably. So yeah, so you might say Russia's kind of sort of already started the invasion, maybe, if you look at it in that context. But so moving tanks in. Oh yeah, and they're moving their people out of the embassies. They're emptying the embassies out. That's what you do before you hit somebody. You empty your embassies out. But it could all be just a show. It could be a bluff. They're putting troops on Belarus. Oh, Belarus is also putting their own troops there. They're putting troops, there on the border of Ukraine with Russia. They're moving tanks into Donbass, which is actually part of Ukraine at the moment. They got troops in Crimea, which they took from Ukraine. They've got a lot of stuff. Now, bear in mind, I've said in the past that people in Donbass and Ukraine, really, in my opinion, in Crimea ought to have the right of self-determination, just like the people in Ukraine. So if they want to break away, I think they ought to let them. And maybe that's the point for a peace solution there, and it could give Putin a chance to save face. And oh yeah, well look, we got our people free. The people that wanted to be with us, they're free now. We've accomplished our aims. Blah blah blah. Plus, maybe a little assurance that we wouldn't move into Ukraine just right now. But I did a video recently when I said a lot of what Putin's demanding is hollow. I swear, a lot of it's hollow, because the NATO is a defensive alliance. A treaty is a defensive treaty. It's not a, hey, we go attack. It's we defend these guys if they get hit. That is the whole basis of Article 15. The missiles that are mounted right now that he's talking about are defensive missiles. They can't destroy a city. They're only made to shoot down other missiles. Like the Aegis Ashore missile systems in Poland. They would only take down a theater-fired nuclear missile that would be intended for Europe. Not a strategic weapon. It'd be aimed at America, by the way, but a theater-based weapon. That's all those things can take out, because any strategic weapon Russia would launch to us would come over the poles, not over Europe. Also, or I said poles, because now with that Sarmat 2 missile, they can launch over our South Pole. What's the problem with that? We don't have any radars looking. What's the problem with this guy with the oh, they couldn't do that. They couldn't fire a missile into our test range. Oh yeah, they probably could. If it comes in like a cruise missile, hypersonic missile coming in low altitude, We don't have the radars watching the West Coast that we got watching the North. Yeah, we do have radars out there. If they come in low, it'd be on us before we know it. Hypersonic coming in that fast. Suddenly, you know, we're all having a glass of coffee or a cup of coffee. And next thing we know, there's a boom in the Nevada test area. Everybody first is going to think, well, I thought we quit testing. We're not supposed to do an atmosphere test. What happened? Was it an accident? Or our military would know right off that there was no accident. Interesting. That is really close to being an act of war. You know, most people would interpret that as an act of war. Now, probably they won't do that. Probably not. I wouldn't think that they would step that far. At least let's hope not. What they might do, and the most likely thing that they would do, is take down. Okay, we're getting into it with Russia. Just look at this. This is probably coming, given now that both presidents, Putin and Biden, are at loggerheads with each other. The Russians have really thought war with the United States was inevitable. And if we start, you know, just posturing like Biden is liable to do in some fashion, they're going to take that as a sign of war. Probably because, you know, these, I've said it before, the dictators don't think the same as we do. The people from these authoritarian mindsets don't think like we do, excuse me. They think that we think like they do. And that's the scary thing. And that's why maybe they say that the war is inevitable. This is what Putin's been saying. The war with the West is inevitable. I want to read you a little excerpt that one of my friends, Dr. Peter Vincent Pry, who's been on this channel probably 4 times, who is head of the EMP Task Force on National and Homeland Security, which I'm the state director of, by the way, for Alabama. He wrote an article in the Washington Times. You need to check it out. The article is called U.S. Risking Cybergeddon with Russia. I swear you guys need to check this article out, but I'm going to quote in here from a bit, and hopefully I'll have him back on the channel here real soon. And maybe we can talk about this, but I'm going to take a little bit from this. So, you know, the Russians massed the troops on the border there the first time in April of 2021. And of course, you know, maybe it was already getting too mushy for them to invade at that point, but they were out there beating their chest. And the director of RT and Sputnik, which is 2 of the big state-run news agencies in Russia, state-run, okay? So if they say something, it's the state talking. Well, the director of these agencies, who is an intimate, very close to Putin, basically, she speaks for Putin. I mean, you know, she lets Putin sock puppet, if you will. She made the following alarming statement, which is beginning to look and ring true. So this may be an indication of what they're thinking and how they're thinking, and that the grid going down, which I've talked about so much right here, may be indeed what they're planning to do, which I've said many times, that's what they would do. That's their MO. Modus operandi. It's written into the doctrine, my friends. It's written into the military doctrine. So many countries, if they have war with us, take down the United States grid first. And if you think they're going to have war with us, you know, and cyber attacks, they somehow don't think that's real warfare. That's the problem. And they have been doing a lot of cyber attacking so far. So all the cyber attacks in Ukraine, that wasn't real warfare. Taking down our grid, that's not real. So what if 9 out of 10 Americans starved to death in a year? And oh yeah, by the way, an EMP event in the upper atmosphere, they consider that electronic warfare, not real warfare. It destroyed the United States completely. So you need to bear that in mind. So this is what this lady, Margarita Semyonin, this is what she had to say. She said, Russia will invade Ukraine, sparking a conflict with the U.S. that will force entire cities into blackout. Wow. All-out cyber warfare, nationwide forced blackouts. Those are her words. I don't know if I can focus on it. Here we go. Those are her words. And she went on. War is inevitable. I do not believe that this will be a large-scale hot war like World War II. And I don't believe there will be a long Cold War. It will be a war of the 3rd type, cyber war. And then she went on, in conventional war, we could defeat Ukraine in 2 days. That's what she says. But it will be another kind of war. We'll do it. And then the U.S. will respond by turning off power to a major Russian city. And she named one here, Voronezh. I can't pronounce that. She also stated, Russia needs to be ready for this war, which is unavoidable. You see, Putin's been saying it, which is unavoidable. And of course, it will start in Ukraine. And she went on, Russia is invincible where conventional war is concerned, but forget about a conventional war. This war will be of infrastructures. And she added, I've been agitating and even demanding that we make Donbass, eastern Ukraine, that we take Donbass. We need to patch up our vulnerabilities as fast as we can and then do whatever we want. And she says, we only lose if we do nothing. What? We only lose if we do nothing. That's like a clarion call on their side for war. And that's exactly what she said. By absorbing parts of Ukraine or the entire country, Russia would be able to remove the zone of American influence further from its borders. And this goes on. Guys, I'm going to let y'all read this for yourselves. Check it out. Or just watch. I'll probably have Dr. Pyne on the channel again. He can go into this in great detail, as he will in many other things related to this. He is quite the expert in these areas and very adroit in explaining them because he has both history. He's both a history major. He was a Soviet weapons expert. He is got quite the background in these areas, and he was a key player in the Congressional EMP Task Force. And so guys, so oh, so what? Cyber warfare, blah 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 blah. No big deal. Okay, Colonial Pipeline. You know, we don't have gas for a few days. We're talking about taking out the power grid. We're talking about doing structural damage to it, not just turning the lights off and switch and then you go back, turn them back on. If you'd fry these big transformers, it's over, buddy. It's over. It takes 18 months to replace them once you can order them, but you won't even have the ability to order them. You don't have the money. 9 out of 10 people are expected to perish within a year, according to the Congressional EMP Task Force, which I was a part of, and which I have shown him why I conclude those were optimistic numbers based on the way the food supply is going to run, because most farmers are market farmers and they don't even grow their own food these days. So this is what we all got to get around to, guys. So I think this woman she believes that we got to have war, and maybe Putin does too. But this could be another miscalculation. A cyber war is a war, and the United States has even suggested that we might hit back. We might even nuke somebody if they hit us with enough cyber war. Think about this: a war that suddenly we're not supposed to respond to with just cyber, but if 9 out of 10 people in the United States or more perish because of it over the course of a year, yeah, that's quite a consequence. America will be screaming as we gurgle and drown in our inability to feed ourselves and take care of ourselves, freeze to death. You know, the first to go would be in the hospitals, you know, the nursing homes, our loved ones that are there, and then it would just spread. You know, there'd be a lack of power to run life support systems, medications, and, you know, the ability to have water, fresh water. What do you remember I mentioned earlier? Purifying, sanitized water, sanitize, don't forget that. Yeah, the purification stuff a lot of times gets out the bacteria, but don't get the viruses, my friends. I talked about that, so bear that in mind. This is serious. This is serious. We could have a lot of miscalculation on either side. Russia made the think, well, the United States is going to hit us, they're going to do something, or even if they don't, the only way we can get away with what we want is to hit them. Besides, Russia wants us distracted, so, you know, they will probably work in cahoots with China. Oh yeah, by the way, China has backdoor components in our power grid. We have, President T, the previous president, put out an executive order saying we can't have Chinese components in our critical infrastructure on the power grid. On day one in his office, President Biden signed another executive order rescinding that order. He probably didn't know what he was signing. He thought it was, supporting a walk in the park. He did what he was told. But why? Why? Why don't we replace it with something different, something better, like some of us have pushed to do since then? We try to give them the benefit of the doubt, but nothing is out of that. Nothing's come out. So there we are. Those backdoor components are capable of reporting what's happening in our power grid and potentially shutting it down directly. And just from cyber tech and Russian capabilities, the estimates are they could take down 80% of our grid. Combine that with China, and if you throw an EMP into it, yeah, it's all of it. So what they might do is do the cyber attacks first. Then you think that was all that did it. And if they do an EMP, you would think it was all the cyber attacks, possibly. Or they might do the EMP about the time we're expecting the sun to crackle. So, deniability. They could do the missile launch. It could be an orbital satellite. It could be a hypersonic missile. Something coming from the south where we're not monitoring with our radars, like Venezuela, Cuba. We're talking about putting forces. Where my friend Stacy Zavicki said this kind of thing happened. Whereas China and Russia and Iran and North Korea are all involved with Venezuela. North Korea had their little tramp steamer running around in the Chongqing and the Caribbean and Gulf of Mexico with 2 fully erect missile launchers sitting inside of ISO shipping containers, which they buried under sugar and tried to sneak back through Panama and got caught with. And then we see, and I showed you a video that where China is developing a rocket to be launched from ISO shipping containers, and they show video of it from rail and from ships. Of course, there's the Israelis that's already done that. And of course, somebody else near and dear to you, has launched rockets from ships. In fact, I launched balloons from ships that launched rockets. And I got one of those rocket motors right here. This is the CATS Park Altitude Research Corporation, which I was president of, CATS prize rocket motor. You look inside that fuel grain, yeah, it was burnt for about 4 seconds, produced 1,400 pounds of thrust. And we put one of these just like it on top of another rocket. It's about 17 foot long on a gondola, about a 300-pound package that went up on a balloon to 20 miles high. Launched from the Gulf of Mexico, 200 miles out at sea. I know what that's like to do because I did that 20 years ago. And for the predecessor mission, I launched from the shore of North Carolina. I got this award. Look it up. Space Pioneer Award. My name, go to Wikipedia, you'll find it. So there you are. I know something about these kind of operations. Been there, done that kind of thing. What other prepper channel comes on or that kind of background when I'm talking about this stuff? I've chaired 2 power grid defense conferences. I've chaired an international space development conference. So I know a little bit about these kind of topics. I am an electrical engineer. I work rockets too, so I know rockets. I know electrical engineering. These are my areas. And I'm a prepper, a worm farmer, more than anything. Yes, I am a worm farmer, first and foremost. Worm my way to the top. Hey, I can laugh at the face of adversity. You got to be able to do that. That's how you keep your head on your shoulders. If you don't keep your head on your shoulders, you lose your head from your shoulders. You know what I mean? So here we are. This is real. It's credible. There are many ways they can take down our grid. That's the thing I worry about the most in a situation like this. Yeah, we could go to full-blown World War III, but having all the cities nuked is going to be no different than a grid down. Grid down is going to wipe the country out. It will wipe us out. And when 18 months later, if you had a bank account and the computers are working, you were able to order your transformers and you get here, then your workforce is gone. I mean, we're already losing our workforce. Think about when 9 out of 10 are gone, what few are left are going to be at home defending mama or trying to scratch out something to eat. their last thing is the thing about it will be showing up for a workforce to go move on these big, dadgum, ginormous 200, 400 ton transformers. That takes quite a force to do that. And there's very limited number of vehicles, like less than a dozen, that are actually capable of doing it. So you got thousands to do. Guys, this Humpty Dumpty ain't getting put back together again for a long time. It's going to take, it took us generations to build this power grid, and it would take generations to do it again. And we're going to lose most of our people before we get at it. So this is not a pretty thing. What can you do about it? Wow. You can go to freedomrestorationfoundation.org and go to the Action Center and find all the resources about how to contact your Congress and tell them, do this, do that. You know, so hey, look, you know, we need to tone this down. We need to be very mindful of what we're doing here. I don't have any good answers now because we're getting so close. You know, I had David Pyne on the channel here a few weeks ago, and he had what he thought was the solution. But that's water in the bridge now, because the administration has nixed those kind of ideas. It could have been a solution, perhaps not a good one, because I do believe in autonomy of people. I believe that the Ukrainians should have autonomy not to be run over by Russia. They should be their own people, and they should be able to choose if they want to pick an alliance, who they choose with. But, you know, we also have the freedom to delay that. And that's what we're actually doing. So here's what's really funny. All this boils down to this. We're standing up for the right of Ukraine to join NATO, whilst for the time being, will not even allow Ukraine to join NATO. That's what we're on the verge of fighting about, ostensibly. Unless, of course, just Putin wants to go in and take it anyway. So we're talking about frying the whole world over whether you dot a T or cross an I. I mean, really? We're talking, really, that's what it boils down to. It's over the right of Ukraine to join a treaty organization, which at the moment is not entertaining the idea of them joining it. We entertain the idea of them being able to join it down the road. Why? Because we don't want to be pushing Russia too hard right now. But apparently it doesn't matter. Russia's already feeling pushed over a defensive treaty for an organization that at best is putting out defensive missiles like ABM, anti-ballistic missile missiles, which Russia's got tons of those around Moscow. And oh yeah, by the way, if you think, well, you know, we're getting up against our borders, Russia can sell ships up and down the coastlines of the United States. They've done it. Submarines, ships, hypersonic missiles. It's a hollow argument. Very hollow argument. So they can get us a lot better than we can get to them, even if we did put stuff in Ukraine. So it's a hollow argument. But if they do put stuff in, I said if they do put stuff in Venezuela, as Iran's already sent a lot of stuff to, maybe China and Russia may already be doing with personnel, what do you do? Are we going to have another Cuban Missile Crisis? See, what are the trip points here? And that's what we don't know yet. Where are the trip points? What I expect? I'm expecting, I would say 80% chance that Russia will roll into Ukraine and take at least part of it. They may not push it too far, and they might, I don't know. They may go all the way, depending on what their real objectives are. Reading the mind of Putin right now is a little bit difficult, but you know, so my good friend Lee Wilbarger thinks they'll take at least half of it for the grain belt aspects of it, due to anticipations of grand solar minimum, which you may not believe in that, but allegedly Putin does. And if that's what motivates him, then that may activate him. And it might be his real objective. That's not what he's been saying. He's been tied to NATO. But then again, maybe he's just looking for an excuse. And maybe that's why he put out these points which he knew NATO would never accept. And he stuck to them, and NATO stuck to its side. Biden stuck to his side, as would be expected. So there you go, my friends. Maybe he's trying to make it last mark, and he thought this was the time to do it, and now he's put it out there. He's either got to move or lose face. If he loses face, he loses a home. If he moves and gets his kicked, or if it takes too long, and he bogs down in Ukraine, he could lose it politically too back home. They send a lot of kids home in body bags. That's not going to look too good to moms in Mother Russia. So yeah, this is a pickle that we're in, a Putin, a putrid Putin pickle. And Biden's got us hiding. I don't know, guys. This is a scary thing. But again, it goes down to personality. So Putin is Putin. I'm trying to say Biden and Putin at the same time. Come up with Putin. Yeah, maybe that is right. Maybe that is the same, because they're in a similar situation where they both are looking at their political prospects at this point in time. This is what's driving us, guys. Putin and his whole party is about to go. He's probably feeling like he's got to stand up. He's got to try to show some resistance. This guy here, he's like that Doberman in your face. That's Putin right now, and he just, he's got to do something. He's got himself painted in the corner. He's almost desperate. Talking about Donbass. Donbass, the people there want to go to Russia anyway, or just let it become a permanently autonomous, guaranteed to be autonomous region. That should make Ukraine happy too. Now, Ukraine, come on, guys. Zelensky, president of Ukraine, you don't want to negotiate Donbass away, but you're willing to risk the entire country getting conquered, not to negotiate Donbass away. See, that's another political thing. Wow, why not? The people in Donbass don't want to be with you anyway, so why do you want them? Same way with Crimea. They don't want to be with you. They've already decided. They voted overwhelmingly, like 99%, they wanted to be with Russia in Crimea. So why not let go of Crimea, which you don't have control of anyway? You don't have control of Donbass. Let them go in a treaty, and Putin gets to save his face. That is the answer. So that's what you can write to your congressman. Say, hey, why don't we put out there the prospect for a treaty based on we'll delay any NATO whatever with Ukraine. If we go with Ukraine, we wouldn't put anything more than defensive systems there. Might say something like that. Only defensive systems, maybe even no ABMs. We got other places. We got our ABMs. In fact, Ukraine is not a good strategic place to place ABMs anyway, because most of the miles you want to place them between Europe and the main forces in Russia, which are Ukraine's way south of that. And if you're looking for strategic defense for the United States, you really want to be, looking over the poles, the North Pole or the South Pole. That's a whole different banana. So that's what I'm saying, guys. Why not? Just say, hey, Ukraine gets to choose, but we'll delay it, and we'll say we won't put these kind of missiles in there. How about that? And oh, by the way, you get we'll let Donbass be a permanent autonomous region, officially recognized as such, and there won't be any warfare there. We'll negotiate peace with that, and you keep Ukraine, you keep Crimea. Why not? That would, and quit pushing them on it. Russia will never give up Crimea without a nuclear war. So why act like we expect them to give it up? That's goofy. Just accept it. They're never going to give that up. That's what I'm thinking. Now, that's going to make a lot of people mad. I've said that. I don't mean to make you mad, but come on, think about it. The people in Crimea are Russian, and they voted to be Russian. Russia's got their big naval facilities there in Sevastopol. They're not going to surrender that shy of warfare. There's no way. And by the way, Russia gave Crimea to Ukraine when it joined the Soviet Union. It was Russian before. So Donbass, I don't know. I understand the people of Ukraine feeling the way they felt. And they're the real losers in this. They're either the prize of war or the losers in the war. Either way, they're in a crux. I feel sorry for the people there. And, they got their own pocket. We don't want to lose our region over at Donbass. We don't want to lose Ukraine, but, you've already lost them. You've already lost them. They're not with you. Not heart, soul, and spirit. They never will be. Somebody don't be with you, why hold them? It's like you're married to somebody that hates you. that wants to spit in your eyes and step on your toes, and you want to keep them and hold them forever? Why? I wouldn't want to have to come home every day to somebody screaming at me, spitting at me, throwing plates at me. Bye-bye. Why hold someone against their will? Unless you're trying to extract something. Well, yeah, they got gold, it's this, it's that. You know, that happens a lot, unfortunately. They're their own people. Let them go. If you see, that's the thing. And use that as a bargaining chip for your own peace. All right, I beat on enough. That is the only last solution I can see where we're at. But don't be making threats. You know, that's what we made a stupid thing. We just threatened that we would retaliate with cyber war against Russia. Don't, Biden. Hey Biden, listen up, Biden. Wake up, listen up, Biden. Don't tell him what you're going to do. See, that's what Putin is. He's not telling you what you're going to do, what he's going to do. Why are you telling him? Oh, for Pete's sake, Biden. Just watch Putin a little bit. He's KGB. He does have a brain cell somewhere between his ears. He knows how to play things. That man's shrewd. You know, he accused you of being shrewd, Biden. It's part of his being shrewd. Made you feel good. He puffed up your ego. He blew up your skirt as he was planning to jerk it off. So there you are. Yeah, Putin is Putin. There we go again. Yeah, and the way they are, they're in similar irretractable positions based on the politics of where they're at. The problem with this whole thing is the whole rest of the world has got to go along for the ride, including the people of Russia and the people of America. And what have I said in the past? I've been to Russia. I loved it. I love the people there. I had a good time in Russia. It's one of my favorite of all the countries I've been to. I liked Russia best. I had a good time there. I felt like I fit in. But bear in mind what I always tell you: there's good people of every race, color, religion, creed, in every country, state, province, city, town, hamlet, however you want to slice it and dice it, you'll find good people there. When I was standing in Russia or Moscow, I looked around and go, why in the world would we want to nuke this place? Why would we want to nuke these people? Why would they want to nuke us? You go to a Russian and ask them, do you want to nuke us? They'd probably tell you no. Now with all the hype, you know, being told by the news media constantly, the United States is this, the United States is that. Somewhere in China, you know, people are getting that little bit of, John, the United States is attacked, the United States is bad, the United States is bad, the United States is bad. That's all they hear. And it's really affecting the young people in China, unfortunately, because they just keep hearing it, droning on. Like the junkyard kids in America here. The United States is bad, the United States, same story. Interesting. Yeah, isn't that really interesting? Our kids are hearing the same propaganda they're getting. Not a good thing. Not a good thing. The way you shake it. Are we perfect? Heck no. But at least we have a system that we can correct course. And the people are in charge to some degree. And we can take charge back when we're not, if we wake up and move on. So here we are. Why don't we just send messages? Hey, let them have Donbass, let them have Crimea. And, you know, let's negotiate something. And if we don't tell them what you're going to do. Don't tell them what you're going to do. Guys, we may be heading for cyber war, to lose our grid. Power may go out, lights may go out, and it may not come back, my friends. And a lot of you say, well, tell me, oh, that'd be a good thing. I hope they do. I'm tired of the news media. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of that. I understand that. I'm tired of the kids on their phones all day. Or kids don't know how to walk and talk about that stuff. I have to learn. The sad thing is, we got these things called nuclear power plants all over this country. 9 out of 10 people starve, and societal breakdown. The people in the cities will be pouring out like, if you ever live in the South or anywhere where you got fire ants, you know what happens when you kick them out? Those ants come pouring out like crazy. That's what's going to happen to these people in the cities. It's going to be pouring out, scouring the countryside, looking for you to eat. So, yeah, get ready, guys. And then the worst thing is the nuclear power plants. Not the plants themselves. They're bad. They're bad. They're bad. There's something worse than the nuclear power plants. The spent fuel rod boils outside the plant. More radioactive material there. And it evaporates 160 gallons of water a minute, which is pumped back in with electricity. And no, the plants do not run themselves off the power they generate. They get their power from the grid. Something to do with load balance and other things, but that's just the way it works. Bad design, bad concept. Water under the bridge, that's where it's at. The only way they can start a nuclear power plant usually is with another power plant, a coal-fired plant, or something like that. Oh yeah, we just took out a bunch of coal plants, didn't we? Whoo-wee, maybe a hydro plant might get some of them going. So my friends, we're in a pickle. We're in a pickle. I've droned on enough. Everyone, get ready. Prep. Go to. I'm not going to show any websites today. I was going to earlier, but we've gone long enough in this video. Just get ready. Prep. Say your prayers. Get right with your maker. Be right with your family. Make sure your loved ones know you love them. And just remember, even the troops. Look, I told a story one time. I don't want to go too much, but even troops on the other side, they're not necessarily evil. They're just there, just like our guys are. Sometimes our army don't do the things that we're told they're doing. What was that war in Iraq all about anyway? My son was there. He laughs at the whole thing. He thinks it was ridiculous, to be honest. Saddam Hussein didn't have weapons of mass destruction. He didn't back Al Qaeda. We were there for other reasons. And we probably should not have been. But we were. So just bear in mind, a lot of times troops don't have a lot of say-so about where they go and what they do. A lot of them are thinking they're doing the right thing. But after a war, a lot of times the people from opposite sides get together and make peace. And sometimes they do during the war. There was an occasion in World War I of a Christmas where somebody on one side of the trench put out a Christmas tree, and somebody just rung the bell with somebody on the other side in the other trench, and they said something, and they started talking. Next thing you know, the Americans and the Germans, and probably British, whoever else was there, they went out and had them a Christmas party between the trenches. They got along just fine. It was very hard for like a day. It was very hard for the officers on both sides to get them separated and get them to pointing bang bangs at each other again. You see there what I'm saying, guys? There you go. Yeah, when I was in the Army, I almost got sent to Tehran during the Iranian hostage crisis. My main study buddy in college was just a little kid in Tehran at that time. Good friend. And Payman Arapshahi was his name. And, I'd look at him and think, wow, man, I almost got sent to your city as a troop, man. You're just a little kid. Wow. Here we are, study buddies in college. He went on and get a PhD. He went on and got a PhD in electrical engineering, by the way, University of Alabama in Huntsville, where Dr. Roy Spencer works. Enough said. I've gone on long enough, my friends. Prepare. This stuff is real. This stuff may happen. I don't say Greg Allison said it's going to happen, but it may. When? It may be a buildup. It may be tit for tat. They may roll into Ukraine. I said may. They may roll into Ukraine. We may put forces on the border. They may put guys in Venezuela, maybe Cuba. Then we may blockade. And this may be on and on and on. At some point, they switch our lights out. At which point along that way do they switch our lights out? When does it build up? What's the miscalculations? Where are the thresholds? Where are the real red lines? What I know fully, you got to put yourself in Putin's head and in Biden's head or whoever else is there. And it might be difficult to do. Just bear in mind, during the original Putin missile crisis, one of the submarines thought they were being attacked with depth charges to destroy them, or was just trying to get them surface. Miscalculation. The order was put out in the ship to fire nuclear torpedoes on American vessels. The guy who was given the order refused to do it. His whole life was ruined after that, but he saved the world. I think that actually happened twice during the Cuban Missile Crisis. We came that close. And here we are potentially again. It's Russian roulette, my friends. Remember, where is America in the Book of Revelations anyway? Well, let's make sure we try to survive. Our job, try to prevent this stuff in the first place. If we can't, survive. And on the other side, shake the dust off and build a better world. And I'm going to say, God bless and Greg out.